Welcome the spicy ladies. She does not follow the path, she builds her own. Sigma females are not just different, they are rare. And that rarity is their greatest strength. They don't fit into categories designed for the masses, and they never will. Society tries to define women by their ability to conform, to be seen, to belong. But a Sigma female, she doesn't need permission to exist on her own terms. If you've ever felt out of place, not because you lack something, but because you see things others don't, that's not a flaw, it's your advantage. The world isn't built for people like you, but that's precisely why you're built to navigate it differently. You don't crave validation, you don't force connections, and you don't shape yourself to fit in. You choose yourself, and that choice sets you apart. But not all Sigma females move the same way. Some operate from the shadows, influencing without being seen. Others thrive in solitude, their presence felt only when necessary. Some are strategists, some are disruptors, and some are silent forces that shift the balance of power without saying a word. Each carries a unique strength, a distinctive way of seeing the world. This isn't about becoming a Sigma female if you recognize yourself in these words. You already are one. Now it's time to own it. Number 1. The asymmetrical warrior. She doesn't fight like everyone else because she doesn't need to. While others are busy following the same tired playbooks, she's already 5 steps ahead, rewriting the rules as she goes. Confrontation, that's a game for the predictable. She doesn't charge headfirst into battles that can be won with a simple shift in direction. Instead, she moves where no one expects, striking from angles they never saw coming. This is the woman who refuses to be pinned down. Try to control her, and she'll slip through your fingers. Try to manipulate her, and you'll realize too late that she was never in your grasp to begin with. She doesn't announce her plans, nor does she seek approval. She simply executes, adjusting in real time. While others are still processing what just happened, most people crumble under pressure, not her. She adapts if a situation demands patience. She waits if it calls for action. She moves fast and with precision. She's not attached to one strategy because she understands a simple truth. The person who is hardest to predict is the hardest to defeat, and that's what makes her dangerous to those who expect her to play by the same tired rules. She doesn't waste energy on unnecessary battles. She picks the fights that matter, the ones that shift the game in her favor. She's the one who lets her opponents think they have the upper hand until suddenly they don't. But this isn't about deception or trickery. It's about mastery. It's about knowing that brute force is rarely the smartest way forward. It's about understanding that true power lies in adaptability, in precision, in the ability to move in ways that others can't predict. So, while the world watches the obvious players, she moves quietly, calculating, waiting, and when she finally makes her move, it's already too late for everyone else. Number 2, the ghost in the machine. She isn't the one standing at the front, waving a banner or calling all the shots in plain sight. Instead, she's the quiet force operating in the background, influencing outcomes and subtly shifting the balance without ever seeking the spotlight. In a world where everyone clamors for attention and authority, she prefers to be the invisible hand that directs the play without anyone noticing. Imagine a chess game where one piece moves so subtly that you barely register its shift until you're several moves behind. That's her. While others shout orders and parade around with grand gestures, she calmly analyzes every piece on the board, calculating and influencing without ever being in the obvious line of fire. Her power lies in her ability to work behind the scenes, quietly connecting dots and orchestrating events in a way that feels almost magical. What makes her extraordinary is not a lack of ambition, but an acute understanding that true strength often comes from subtlety. She doesn't need to be seen to be effective. Instead, she creates ripples that can transform entire situations. Whether it's gently guiding a conversation, orchestrating behind-the-scenes negotiations, or simply offering insights that shift perspectives, her impact is undeniable, even if her face is rarely on the cover. This strategy isn't about hiding or being passive. It's about leveraging a unique kind of influence that comes from observation and discretion. She knows that not all battles require a frontline attack, and that sometimes the most effective way to win is to let others think they're in control in doing so. She keeps the upper hand often without anyone realizing that she's been guiding events all along. Her quiet confidence and calculated moves remind us that leadership isn't about volume or flash. It's about thoughtful action, precision, and the courage to work unseen for those who appreciate real power. She is the ultimate lesson in how true influence can be both subtle and profoundly effective. Number 3, the Stoic Enforcer. She doesn't waste words, she doesn't entertain pointless debates, and she definitely doesn't feel the need to prove herself to anyone. While others get caught up in ego battles, desperate to be right, she watches, calm, composed, and utterly unaffected. It's not that she doesn't have opinions, it's that she refuses to waste her energy on people who aren't worth it. Silence is not weakness. It's a warning, a quiet, measured patience that tells you she is calculating, deciding, and preparing. When she does speak, she doesn't ramble, she doesn't yell, she doesn't argue, just to hear her own voice. She says exactly what needs to be said and nothing more. And when she acts, it's swift and without hesitation. People mistake her restraint for indifference, but they couldn't be more wrong. She feels deeply. She just refuses to be controlled by those feelings. She doesn't let anger make her reckless. She doesn't let provocation pull her into petty conflicts. She understands that true power is not in reacting, it's in choosing when to react and how. That's what makes her different. That's what makes her dangerous to those who underestimate her. She is the person who lets things slide, not because she is weak, but because she knows they are insignificant. But when something does matter, when a line is crossed, she doesn't raise her voice. She raises the stakes, and at that point, there is no turning back. She enforces boundaries with absolute certainty. No second chances, no drawn-out negotiations, just a clear understanding that once she decides something, it is final. She moves through life with a quiet strength that demands respect, not by force but by sheer presence. She is the calm before the storm, the stillness before the strike, and by the time people realize what she truly is, it's already too late. Number 4, the Tactical Empath. She sees what others feel before they even say a word. While most people are stuck reacting to emotions, either drowning in their own or being manipulated by someone else's, she stays in control. She doesn't just sense emotions, she studies them like a chess player reading an opponent's next move. Unlike traditional empaths who get overwhelmed by the weight of people's emotions, she remains steady, using what she observes as a tool, not a burden. This isn't about being cold, it's about being sharp. She can read tension in a room before it erupts, recognize insecurity before it manifests, and spot hidden motives behind polite words. She understands what people want to hear versus what they actually need to hear, and because of that, she can navigate conversations with precision, making people feel seen without losing herself in the process. People often mistake empathy for weakness, assuming that feeling deeply means being fragile, but she proves them wrong. She knows when to lean in and when to pull back, when to offer warmth and when to stay detached. She is not here to carry the emotions of others like baggage. She is here to understand them, see through them, and to use that understanding to her advantage. This ability makes her nearly impossible to fool. Manipulators hate her because their tricks don't work. She can sense when words don't match intentions. Liars avoid her because she catches inconsistencies without even trying. People drawn to drama quickly realize she won't engage in their games, and when she speaks, her words land differently because she knows people not just their actions, but their hidden fears, desires, and vulnerabilities. She doesn't just hear what you say, she hears what you mean. That's what makes her powerful. She moves through the world not just feeling deeply, but thinking deeply. And in a world full of emotional chaos, she remains a force of clarity, impossible to deceive, and even harder to ignore. Number 5, the Methodical Eliminator. She doesn't argue, she doesn't explain, she doesn't waste energy on long dramatic goodbyes. When someone proves they don't deserve a place in her life, she removes them cleanly, efficiently, and without a second thought. There's no anger, no need for revenge, no emotional spectacle, just silence, a quiet, calculated disappearance that leaves no room for negotiation. One day you're in her world, and the next, you're gone. Not because she's cruel, but because she values her peace more than she values keeping people around for the sake of it. Unlike most, she doesn't cling to relationships out of nostalgia or obligation. She doesn't entertain toxic behavior hoping it will change. She doesn't fall for manipulative apologies or empty promises. The moment she recognizes a pattern of disrespect, dishonesty, or negativity, she makes her decision, and when she's done, she's done. People don't always notice it at first. She doesn't storm out or announce her departure. She simply withdraws slowly but surely until one day her presence is just missing. No confrontation, no spectacle, just an empty space where she used to be. And by the time they realize she's gone for good, it's far too late. She operates this way because she understands something most people don't. Toxic people feed on reactions. They thrive on chaos, arguments, on the emotional energy of being chased or convinced to stay. She denies them that satisfaction. She doesn't fight for closure because she doesn't need it. The act of removing them is her closure. This is why she's impossible to manipulate. She sees through false sincerity, through guilt tripping, through the exhausting cycle of toxicity. And instead of engaging, she does what most people are too afraid to do. She cuts the cord permanently, no warnings, no second chances, just a clean break, and a life that immediately comes lighter the moment she walks away. Number 6, the cold architect. She doesn't live by accident. Nothing in her world is left to chance. While others stumble through life, hoping things will work out, she moves with purpose, carefully constructing every detail with precision. She is not swayed by fleeting emotions or the expectations of others. Her life is a blueprint, and she is both the designer and the enforcer. Every relationship, every habit, every decision, examined, tested, and measured against a single question. Does this serve me? If the answer is no, she removes it without hesitation, no guilt, no regret, just a necessary elimination to maintain the structure she is building. She doesn't keep people around out of sentimentality. She doesn't hold on to habits that slow her down, and she certainly doesn't let emotions cloud her judgment when it comes to cutting dead weight. Some call her cold. She calls it efficiency. While others drown in toxic relationships, waste years on pointless endeavors, and let their emotions dictate their future, she remains focused. She understands that attachment to the wrong things is the quickest way to ruin. Weakness lies in decision, in the inability to let go of no longer fits. She has no time for that. This doesn't mean she doesn't feel. She does, but feelings do not govern her. She processes them, understands them, and then moves forward without letting them derail her plans. She doesn't make choices based on temporary emotions. She makes them based on long-term impact. That is what makes her unstoppable. People mistake her detachment for cruelty, but they fail to see the truth. She is not heartless. She is disciplined. She is playing the long game, designing a life that is strong, stable, and free from unnecessary chaos. And while others waste time justifying their poor choices, she is already 10 steps ahead, refining and building something unshakable. Number 7, the silent provoker. She doesn't argue. She doesn't confront. She doesn't need to. Her mere presence is enough to unsettle people who aren't secure in themselves. She doesn't have to challenge egos directly. She simply exists in a way that makes fragile ones crack under the weight of their own insecurities. She walks into a room, and suddenly someone feels the need to prove themselves. They talk louder, exaggerate their achievements, or try to undermine her subtly, but she just watches, calm, unshaken, and unimpressed. She doesn't react, and that's what gets to them the most. Insecurity thrives on validation. People who are unsure of themselves need constant reassurance, an audience for their performance, but she refuses to play along. She doesn't feed egos, she doesn't stroke insecurities, and she certainly doesn't pretend to be impressed by superficial displays of confidence. Instead, she holds up an invisible mirror, forcing people to see themselves exactly as they are. Her silence is not passive, it's active, intentional. She listens more than she speaks, watching how people reveal their true nature without even realizing it. And when she does speak, she chooses her words with precision, cutting through nonsense with a single sentence, a raised eyebrow, or a well-timed smirk that alone is enough to throw people off balance. This is why weak personalities either fear or despise her. They can't control how they feel around her, and they hate that they can't figure out why they feel the need to prove themselves in her presence. But deep down, they know the truth. She exposes what they try to hide simply by being herself. She doesn't challenge egos loudly. She does it effortlessly, without lifting a finger, and that's what makes her so dangerous to those who build their identity on fragile ground. Number 8, the psychological locksmith. She doesn't just listen to what people say. She listens to what they don't say. Every pause, every shift in tone, every fleeting expression is a key, and she knows exactly how to unlock them. While most people take words at face value, she looks deeper, unlocking the hidden emotions, insecurities, and motivations that people try to conceal. This makes her nearly impossible to deceive. Lies are she can sense the hesitation behind them. Flattery doesn't work because she hears the insecurity woven into it. Manipulation fails before it even starts because she can see exactly why someone is doing what they are. She doesn't just understand emotions, she understands the mechanics behind them, and that gives her an edge that few can match. People often feel exposed around her without knowing why. She has a way of making more than they intended. Peeling back layers they didn't even realize they had. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition. She spent years observing, learning, and decoding the silent language of human being. She can open people up like a locked door with the right words at the right time. But here's what makes her truly dangerous. She doesn't always use this ability for kindness. She knows when to be gentle and when to apply it. She can make people feel safe, heard, and understood, but she can also dismantle a false sense of confidence in seconds. A single question from her can shake someone to their core, forcing them to confront truth. Most people navigate life guessing what others are thinking. She doesn't guess. She knows. And in a world where power often belongs to those who understand people best, she's the one who can't even begin to unlock. Number 9, the phantom strategist. She doesn't need the spotlight. While others fight to be seen, she is busy orchestrating outcomes from the shadows. Unlike those who rely on dominance and force to get their way, she operates with precision, moving the right pieces at the right time. People assume she's passive because she doesn't seek attention, but that's the first mistake. She's not passive, she's calculating. She watches, she listens, she studies patterns. While others act impulsively, she gathers information, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She never makes a move without knowing exactly how it will play out. And when she finally does, it's swift, decisive, and impossible to counter. The beauty of her strategy is that most people never see it coming. They underestimate her because she doesn't flaunt her intelligence or announce her intentions. They assume she's just there, blending into the background, harmless and uninvolved. But in reality, she's positioning herself with surgical precision, making quiet decisions that will eventually shape the entire game. She never fights battles that don't serve her. She never argues for the sake of proving a point. She understands that control isn't about being the loudest or the most aggressive. It's about influence, and influence doesn't require noise. It requires patience, foresight, and the ability to manipulate outcomes without ever being suspected. By the time people realize what's happened, it's already too late. The board has shifted, the power dynamics have changed, and she is exactly where she planned to be, all without ever exposing her hand. This is why she's dangerous to those who rely on brute force and intimidation. She plays a different game, one that most people aren't even aware is happening. While others fight for scraps of attention, she controls the entire board without ever needing to be seen. Number 10, the voluntary outlier. She stands apart not because she's been pushed away, but because she walked away. While most people bend and shrink themselves just to belong, she has no interest in forcing connections that don't feel right. She doesn't fit in not because she can't, but because she chooses not to. This isn't a case of loneliness or rejection. She doesn't suffer from isolation, she thrives in it. While others cling to social circles out of fear of being alone, she understands something most people never will. Detachment is freedom. She doesn't need validation from a group, approval from authority, or a place in the hierarchy to feel secure. She is her own anchor. People often assume she's antisocial, but that's not the case. She can blend in seamlessly when she wants to. She can hold conversation, navigate social settings, and even be the center of attention if the moment requires it. But the difference is she never needs to socialize. It's a choice, not a survival strategy. She observes from the sidelines, engaging only when it serves a purpose, never out of desperation to belong. Her detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. She sees the world for what it is, not through the lens of social expectations. She notices how people cling to empty traditions, force friendships out of convenience, and lose themselves in groupthink. She refuses to play that game, and because she is unbound by the need to be accepted, she moves differently. She chooses relationships carefully, invests her time intentionally, and lets go without hesitation when something no longer aligns with her values. She doesn't stay where she isn't respected, doesn't entertain nonsense, and doesn't apologize for putting herself first. That's what makes her different. She isn't searching for a place to fit in. She's carving her own path. And while others fear being left out, she enjoys the view from the outside, where she can see the world exactly as it is. Number 11, the dual-edged minimalist. She moves through life like a blade, sharp, efficient, and unburdened. She doesn't hold on to what slows her down, whether it's people, possessions, or unnecessary emotions. Every relationship, every object, every attachment in her life serves a purpose. If it doesn't, she lets it go without hesitation. This isn't about lack, it's about freedom. Unlike those who cling to excess in an attempt to feel secure, she understands that true power comes from mobility. The more you own, the more people you let into your world, the more potential weaknesses you create. That's why she keeps her circle small and her lifestyle lean. Not because she can't have more, but because she refuses to be weighed down by things that don't truly serve her. Detachment isn't cold, it's strategic. She values deep, meaningful relationships, but she doesn't waste energy on shallow connections. She knows the difference between loyalty and obligation, between genuine bonds and dead weight. If someone proves to be unreliable or unnecessary, she removes them swiftly, cleanly, and without theatrics. No second chances, no prolonged goodbyes, just a quiet disappearance. The same rule applies to everything in her life. She doesn't buy into trends, hoard sentimental clutter, or keep things just for the sake of having them. Her possessions reflect her mindset, functional, intentional, and built for movement. She is prepared to walk away from anything at a moment's notice because she owns her life. It does not own her. This is what makes her so hard to control. She doesn't have weak spots that can be exploited. You can't manipulate someone who can't fear loss. You can't hold power over someone who has already let go of everything unnecessary. She is the embodiment of efficiency, streamlined strength. She carries only what she needs, keeping her hands free and her mind clear. And when the moment comes to act, she moves swiftly, unhindered, unstoppable, and untouchable. Conclusion: embrace your inner Sigma female in a world that constantly pushes for conformity. The Sigma female stands as a quiet testament to the power of independence, self-awareness, and resilience. She doesn't seek validation because she already knows her worth. Whether she's the silent strategist, the psychological locksmith, or the cold architect, each subtype reflects a unique facet of her strength, a strength that is built from within, not from the opinions or approval of others. You are not meant to fit into a mold, and that's exactly why you are a Sigma female. You understand that true power isn't about being loud or forcing your way into the spotlight. It's about mastering yourself and carving your own path regardless of the noise around you. You are the one who operates with purpose, who doesn't settle for mediocrity, and who refuses to be controlled by anything that doesn't serve her growth. So recognize that your silence is not weakness, it's your quiet power. Your ability to observe, to listen, and to act only when it matters makes you a force to be reckoned with. You are in control. Control not by dominating others, but by knowing your value and refusing to let anything distract you from your purpose. Keep embracing the parts of you that others might not understand. The world needs more women who know their worth, who don't shrink to fit into conventional roles, and who move through life with the calm confidence that comes from understanding themselves fully. You are more than enough just as you are. And in a world full of noise and distractions, your ability to remain unwavering in your path is what sets you apart as a true Sigma female. Keep trusting yourself. Keep pushing forward. You're not here to fit in. You're here to redefine what it means to thrive on your own terms. Thank you for watching The Spicy Ladies, and God bless you.